Well, it's been a week break. So 2 weeks ago we did have the Alton part for round 5 of Now. It was interesting. I wasn't here unfortunately, but Jesse Lee and Ryan Mawson was. Jesse will give us the rundown in just a second. But here we are at Red Bull Ring for the final, the hour and a half, 90-minute race. It's the decider for quite a few of these drivers out here tonight, Pro and Silver classes. My name is Ted Edwards on the mic, and with me on comms and the cameras tonight is Mr. Jesse Lee. Hope you are well, Jesse, and if you don't mind, give us a little rundown of what happened at Oldham Park.
Yes, hello everybody out there at home. I hope you've had a fantastic week, and of course just thank you for being with us here for the finale. It's the decider. Will Timothy Flamger repeat as champion, or will somebody be able to knock him off? 1 week ago, it was an epic battle, a race of attrition for sure as well. And in the end, I do believe Mariano Rodriguez was your winner. And what a race it was. And just talking to Rodriguez after it, how excited he was to join Emiliano Gigi as winners. And I think they've got a bright future if they continue at it here. And, of course, they're not out of the championship as well. Flamger, who finished on the podium, still has a shot to win this thing. Will bring you the championship points at the conclusion of qualifying, of which we are in the middle of right now. Riding on board Alpha Sim Sports, Timothy Flamger chasing a second consecutive Night Owl championship title. Only 3 drivers have ever done that before in the history of Night Owl, and he's looking to be one that can do it. He was as far down as 6th or 7th. That lap gets him up into 3rd. It's a 27.8, but up at the front of the field, it's newly rejoined Jordan Daly.
Yeah, sure is. Jordan Daly is back with us tonight, and quite nice to see him as well in that Mercedes.
Yeah, it really is. Emiliano Gigi mentioned them briefly as well. One of the Gomez sim racing cars, hailing from Uruguay, trying to take pole position, and they do. It's a 27.695, and that's over a 10th quicker than Daly's time, and enough to sit in that position. This is Red Bull Ring, by the way, the newest track in ACC, and it's a bit of a crown jewel in a lot of different ways. And if you're uninitiated about this racetrack, to how it races in GT, the times, Ted, for qualifying are typically very minuscule car to car.
Yeah, sure is. And I don't think it's the newest track to ACC, Jesse Lee. I think you're forgetting about one of the big ones, which we'll get on to.
I forgot that the Nürburgring came out this week. I might have forgot about the Nordschleife coming out this week.
I can't believe you forgot about that.
I can't believe it either.
We'll get onto that just in a bit, because we do have a one-off coming up, but more details on that during the race. We have enough time to talk, Jesse, tonight. 90 minutes. It should even out with 21 cars on the grid, on the field. So it's gonna be interesting. GG 27.695 up in first, 1/10 in front of Flamger, Huel and Daly. Rodriguez, Simos, look at that, top 6 all within a 10th of each other. It is going to be very spicy. Matthew Malcolm needs to get a bit of a move on in that 296. He's a pretty quick driver. He's had a few good races, but he has a few downfalls this season. His first round he did really well. I think he took 4th place, and he was really over the moon, if you like to say, with that one. And then he's dropped off a little bit, but he's got pace there. We know here Malcolm for a while started off in silver, and now he's been to the pro class. So hoping the Ferrari is pretty quick around here. Just have to wait and see.
Certainly, of course, if you're new to Night Owl, well, there's a couple of things you got to watch out for. As Neil Pimlott goes 3rd in class with that lap, a 29.052, good enough for the 3rd spot there in their class. But if you're uninitiated to Night Owl, a couple of things: random pit requirements every round that the drivers are unaware of until race week, race day. Either way, it's belated, and they have to watch out for that, because so often do drivers make mistakes. Flamger further improves a 27.717, holds on to 3rd place for the time being. Raphael Huel, in the meantime, has gone top of the heap, a 27.592, and that has brought the German driver in the Mercedes up into P1, right in front of Emiliano Gigi, who is 1/10, for better or worse, off of that time. Random pit requirements. Sometimes the weather is acting a little bit wacky. Not so today on the latter part of that statement. Weather looks impeccable, Ted, sorry. Forgot who I was with.
Wow, he's got too many commentators to remember, but yeah, it's nice. 20 ambient with a 27 track temp. I've not seen any rain all this week leading up to this race, so it looks like it's going to be a nice and dry for these drivers. Pretty easy for a 90-minute race. 6.5 minutes left of qualifying. So they've still got plenty of time to get to grips with the cars. But yeah, it's going to be a nice race, Jesse. It's going to be hopefully easy for the drivers, but it depends on what that tyre wear is like. I've not done many laps. I've tested some cars for the World Tour that is still going on, so I've not really looked at the tyre wear. Just really found a car that is quick and stable around here, so just have to keep an eye on that.
Yes, indeed. Mariano Rodriguez, your winner from a week ago, looking to repeat here. One of the most happy individuals I think we've ever spoken to post-race, I think was more than anything just excited as he does go pole here, a 27.507, the mark to beat. I think Rodriguez was just happy to get that sort of proverbial monkey off their back a little bit. They knew that they had pace. They knew that their teammates had pace, and it was more of a question of when rather than if. But even still, being able to get that win and in the consistent fashion they were able to get it, just we like happy race car drivers in general, but Mariano may have taken the very tip top of that. All the Gomez Sim Racing folks that we've talked to are super excited to get involved. They know that in Night Out, it seems quite simple of a series to run. It is a later night series for the European and Asian crowd, of course. I guess for the Asian crowd, it's technically early, but I digress. There's a lot of competition, is my point I'm getting to. Jordan Daly signing back in for SJ&H Racing. Now that's an interesting one as well. Doesn't have any of their points from earlier in the season, of course, but they're running this one sort of, I don't know, maybe as a test. They're back in the Mercedes.
Yeah, we have seen them go away from the Mercedes in Night Out before and other champs, so it's nice to see he's back in. Obviously he was in it and been doing bits. Oh dear, that was Gomez Sim Racing right there, Jesse.
What on earth happened there? Let's take a replay here and see. We're gonna do the helicopter cam and see if we can spot, was it contact with another car? Nothing there. We're flying blind into it this way. Nope, just ended up backwards, and that ruined the lap. Rodriguez was on a better lap right there, and that all but ended that run.
Yeah, that was Gomez, the Lamborghini number 60, who was backwards there at the last corner where Kevin Boss just gone through. Where does this put Boss Man? It puts him up into 11th place, third in silver. He's pretty quick in this GTR, Jesse. He's been doing very well in the other championships as well we've got going on, so some talent coming out of this man here.
A podium one night ago in the GT2 Friday champ that we run here, and they're trying to equal that mark. P3 currently in qualifying here today, and a lot of people, they get down on these outdated cars. The GTR, of course, the Lexus has been waylaid as well, but there's a select few drivers that have taken sort of the test of showing that it's still viable in the right hands to use these cars, and Kevin Boss is one of those. He's shown a couple of different times that this car is capable of running very quite well, and he's continuing that tradition here today. We'll see how he feels after 90 minutes in that car, and certainly probably a tire change at some point as well. But this car, the GTR, not so bad for the first 10 minutes. After that, it kind of degrades in drivability, so it makes the life very difficult for the drivers behind the wheel. Les Stevenson for Vulcan Racing up into P11. That was an improvement. That doesn't move them on the pylon, however. Still
It
at
does.
28. Oh, it did move them on the pylon up to 11th. That's right, because Boss was in P11. So Stevenson jumps Kevin Boss for that third place position.
Well, I was going to say about the Lexus, because that's what I'm in for the World Tour with Tom Bryan, and obviously we got the 24-hour here coming up in, I think, 2 races time. So we've got the 12-hour Paul Ricard, and then we've got the 24 Red Bull Ring, I believe. So done a bit of testing in it, and it was pretty quick. But yeah, I think tyre wear is going to be a big issue for these older cars that have just come back in to the playing field on some of these tracks. So it's going to be interesting, but Les doing a decent lap time against the GTR sort of gives me a bit of hope, because done some practice, did some Wednesday champ runs, and was up there on the pace and against the other car. So it's pretty nice to not just be losing time. So it's got potential, but we just have to see what happens in the race. With 1 minute and 10 seconds left going, I think a lot of these drivers coming around the latter part of the track, this will be their last chance to get a good lap time in.
Very well may. Speaking of Lexus, Les Stevenson's back. He's trying to improve upon his time. He does. Now this time he improves his time but does not advance his position. A 28.822, and that's going to be it for the Les Stevenson number 46 tonight. Now we'll have to rest on that, and I hope that's good enough for that starting position. We haven't talked about Sandro Somos. They're the quickest car, the Carburate Racing 86. They're the quickest in the silver category. Behind them, a couple of positions, Guar Fox, who has called it a qualifying session in the 972. They will take no further part, as there are still a few ticks left on the timing and scoring. Mike Redford has bailed back to the pit lane as well. All these cars are done and dusted. The car's still out there on a legal lap. They will get an opportunity to run this out. So qualifying may be over in theory right now, but these cars still running for something. And a couple of them, including Neil Pimlott here for Conquest Racing, they're up a couple of spots here based on the timing and scoring, or based on the delta anyway.
They sure are. And where's the 111? Oliver Curtin will be the last car that is at the moment on a valid lap to come across the line. He was just up on his lap time, but coming through turn 2, he drops down. But yeah, Pimlott was on a good one. He just needs to get these last 2 corners spot on, and he might be jumping up quite a few places here, Jesse. Let's see how he does. Hopefully, he doesn't invalidate on this curb here, and obviously the exit of the final turn. No, keeps it within the white lines.
He could be up to 3rd here, Ted.
Let's have a look. Up to 11th. I think he lost 2/10 on those last 2 corners, unfortunately, but slots into 3rd place in silver.
A good lap time there. Kevin Boss has bailed on their lap. They will take no further part. Everybody else is in the red, meaning that they're down on their delta, except Jordan Daly, but Daly's already crossed the line, so it will not matter. A couple of cars did something interesting there. Daly did it. Emiliano Gigi did it as well, and they continued their lap, even though it was invalid or they had ejected from the racetrack at some point. They continued on their laps. And why would you do that? Just track time practice. It is one of the newer tracks in ACC. You race all sorts of cars in ACC these days. You know, what's better than a live practice session just to see what you could have potentially got, or maybe find something out there on the track. Results qualifying confirmed. Rafael Huel on the pole with the quickest 3rd sector of all. Rodriguez will line up opposite them with the quickest middle sector of them all. Emiliano Gigi will start in 3rd and Flamger 4th. Daly's in 5th. You got to go back to Sandro Somos, your pole sitter in the silver class, to find the quickest 1st sector. Guar Fox, Neil Pimlott, Les Stevenson, Kevin Boss, your top 5 in the silver category.
Yeah, Simo's doing bits this championship in that Mercedes AMG, and if anyone knows what happens to the top 3 in the silver class, they do get bumped up to pro at the end. So Simo's is, I'm going to say, Jesse, definitely getting bumped up to pro for next season, and we'll have to see how they do. And I think there'll be a good match for some of these drivers for for instance, like Matthew Malcolm and Roman Frala, who was they've just beaten out to that 6th place overall. So it's going to be very interesting next season. But until then, we got the standings, Jesse, at hand. There we go. There's the pro standings. Timothy Flamger taking the lead at the moment with 144 points, followed by Rodriguez in second with 122nd. Rafael Hull, who's just taken the pole today, has got 114. Emiliano Gigi with 104. Oliver Curtin in 5th with 74. Masatoshi Kaneko with 69. Nice in 6th place. Emo Plate in 7th with 64. Mike Redford in 8th with 60. Grim Lilith, not here today, unfortunately, but with 46 in 9th. Matthew Malcolm in the 10th place with the 42 points. Is your top 10 in pro. If we go over to the next page. And there's Lewis Selch, who's not with us in the champion anymore, with 37 in 11th. Roman Frala in 12th with 33. And obviously Jordan Day joined with us again, so he's got 0 points. And everyone with a dash has signed out of the championship. Oh, look at that silver standings there. Jesse Lee, Andros and Mose with 158 points in first place in silver, followed by the 2 Lexuses in second, and third is Les Stevenson and Callum Kerrigan, 137 and 127 points piece, and then Gore Fox in fourth, 104. Kevin Boss with 79 in fifth. Carlos Miranda in sixth with 62. Mike Jones 1 point behind with 61 in seventh. Scott Lawson in eighth with 46, and followed 1 point behind is Raul Ramos with 45 in ninth. Ashley Bibby in the 10th place with 43. A few more. Neil Pimlott in 11th with 42. Fernando Gomez in the Lamborghini 33 in 12th. Terrej Rulf is got 12 points in 13th. And Cam Patterson has joined us tonight in the Lexus. He's got 0 points, and everyone with a dash has signed out of the championship.
Well, it's interesting because everyone would look at Flamger at the front of this field and go, well, they've won this championship. Surely they have. But it's not nearly that simple here tonight. You can't have a failure for Flamger. Flamger cannot get taken out in lap number 1, can he, Ted? He's got to continue to get a podium position or somewhere vaguely near the top 5 tonight to pretty much guarantee the championship. And on top of all of that, they've been racing 60-minute races all season long. It's not a 60-minute race tonight. It's a 90-minute race. Talk about how and what that does to a driver's psyche, racing 30 more minutes than you're used to doing.
Well, you obviously get used to your fuel consumption, and you know how much fuel you'll need to take. Obviously, depending on the pit requirements, but you know what fuel to take for a 60-minute race. Whereas if you do a 90-minute, then that's when you got to think, okay, now I need to do 90 minutes. You divide that by 2, it's only a 45-minute stint. So it's just not too bad, but it throws you off because you're going to use your tyres for longer than, say, the half an hour if there is a pit stop or whatnot. But it confuses you because you feel like you've been in the car for 60 minutes. Like, oh, I'm almost finished. And then you look up again and you're like, oh, I still got another half an hour to go, and I still got all this time to push. And around a track like this, there's not really many corners to think about as much. Obviously, there you got turn 1, turn 2, and turn 3 are all quite heavy braking zones and sort of sharp turns. So that's where you really focus through the mid part and down into the last 2 corners. They're very fast and sweeping corners that you don't really need to think about too much unless you are side by side with another car. So it's just one of those where you just got to try and keep yourself occupied and just looking over everything, just making sure you got your fuel's going to make it to the end or going to make you to the pit stop. And yeah, it's a very different boat to do because none of the other championships have a different time for one of the rounds, so it does throw off some of the drivers.
Racing's quite an interesting proposition because unless you're a stock car driver, there's no such thing as playoffs in racing. But when you're competing for a championship, you still have to compete against the other 20 or so cars that you're racing. You still have to beat them. They're still alive. No, it's not like any other sort of sport where if you're out of the playoffs or you're not in a position to win a championship, you're still alive. You've still got to play those teams. You've got to race those cars. Such a weird situation in racing. And if you are in the Sandra Simoes or Flamger's spot here tonight, you've got to be very careful about that. You've got to make sure that you pick your battles quite well. And if I'm Flamger, Ted, I'm quite curious what you think on this. If I'm Flamger, I am being steady as she goes tonight and not necessarily cautious in any way, because you get cautious, you can get yourself into more trouble. We see that time and time again with race car drivers anyway, where they sort of let off the gas a little bit and they start making mistakes because they're not used to running at 80% or so. So if you are Timothy Flamger and you have a little bit of a lead to play with here tonight, what do you do?
Well, it's one of those things. You see Flamger there in the dark green car to the right. He's in 4th place, Jesse. He's got 2 McLarens and a AMG in front. He's got 2 AMGs behind. One is a silver. So it's one of those where he doesn't want to push, but I think he needs to get into the front just to keep the lead. Once he keeps the lead, he's fine. But he's got the Mercedes that are quick on the straights, and either once they're in your slipstream, they will get by if they can into a corner. But it's difficult, obviously. Like you say, you don't want to do any silly moves. You don't want to get taken out of the race. You don't get any damage that you don't need. Because damage on these cars, they depend on the front and rear downforce, and you get any damage on them, they just screw your race, and it can also affect your tyre pressures and the heat in the tyres. So yeah, it's going to be a difficult one for Flamger, but just have to wait and see, Jesse.
Well, if you are Sandro Simoes, that's a very tight battle for the Silver Championship. We have a tendency of that, don't we? That the Silver Championship is very hotly contested. What do you do in the Silver Championship? You can't afford to back off at all. Luckily for Simoes, they've got some bonus points tonight because they have qualified on pole. Their biggest worry, and I think we would agree, Ted, is the pro cars around them that don't really have an interest in their championship, in the Silver Championship. That's where you can get yourself into trouble. But I don't think, because the points are so tight, Simoes can let off at all either.
Yeah, it's not like the pros don't like the silvers, it's the pros don't want to be overtaken by a silver is the thing, and they will defend.
You heard it here first. Ted Edwards on a broadcast has admitted that as a pro, he will not be overtaken by a silver. That is beneath him. He said it live.
I will get past you if I can, sensibly, not in a dangerous way. I will race you as if you are a pro driver, but it's one of those things. Obviously, silvers want to overtake pros because it's a bit of a bragging right. But yeah, it's going to be difficult. Obviously, yeah, like you say, Simoes doesn't want to have any interference with the pros if they don't have to, but they're pretty quick in that AMG, so we just have to wait and see, as we still have half the track to go before they start to line up in double file, and then the green flag will drop. But it's gonna be very interesting. There are a few Gomez fans in the chat, Jesse Lee.
Oh, absolutely.
Fernando says pushing from the bottom of the grid and let's go the McLarens.
Yeah, I was going to mention that a little bit ago, but we have a huge contingent from the Gomez Sim Racing friends, family, and teammates out there. All of them saying the same thing. Vamos Gomez, Team Caro. I am super interested to see what this does to that team. They've had friends, family, and teammates all season long. But it just seems like today, with a lot of the positions, of course, with the finale on the line, there's more of them. You know that they're watching. That puts added pressure on you a little bit. I think they have ice water in their veins, so I think they will respond quite well. Getting ready to go for the 90-minute finale here at Red Bull Ring for Season 17 at Night Owl. I can't wait to get going. Ted Edwards, take us away.
As a few of them come around the last corner, about to drop the green flag, and off they...
No, they don't. It's a long old front straight around here. There they go.
They caught me out. Raphael Hulk is a good get away Rodriguez, followed by Flam.
Oh, he's going for it! It's a big move!
Both off the track, both probably going to get a track warning for that, but Hill doesn't have anywhere to go because Rodriguez was there on the inside, but very nicely not to make any contact there. Probably get Hill a little bit, but everyone in single fire. Daly trying to make a move in the background on Simose, I believe that it was Simose and Daly make contact slightly in the AMGs. Hopefully they both come out like this. Daly taking the wider line.
Dust up in the back, everybody
happy.
keeps it straight though.
Daly going to go for a send there. There's Mike Redford. Daly plays it safe, tries to go for the switchback. Can he get the grunt out of the corner? They are side by side. This is going to be difficult, Jesse.
It very is. This is normally your single file by this point. Not here, not today. Daly trying to go around the outside. That is viable. You can use one of your track warnings here to go incredibly wide. That's exactly what Daly does. He may have actually just skirted the track limits warning right there. Going around the outside, it looks difficult on that corner, but it's actually, weirdly enough, the preferred line if you're trying to do an overtake, because you pinch the car down to the inside. They can't rotate or open the steering, which is what makes that corner quick. You can open the steering a bit, and Daly able to do that to get back into the 5th place position. Here's your championship leader in the silver category right there in the danger zone. Matthew Malcolm, who was in chat prior to race start, claiming that they only had an hour's practice today, and they used it to the best of their ability. Where Fox goes for a little bit of a wild ride right there. What happened there?
That would be that yellow sausage curb, Jesse, just getting already the rear left tyre and it just spinning up a bit. There you go. Saves it though, keeps on the track.
That's insight from a race car driver who's done that before, folks.
Yep, you're not wrong.
Yeah, eventually, you race here eventually enough, you come to figure out. I say this about a lot of racetracks, and people probably think I'm talking nonsense, but there are some curbs you can smash, and there's other curbs you cannot even look at the wrong way. This track absolutely no different, as the 78, I think it was, Carlos Miranda has gone around here.
One of the Lexuses behind, that might be Patterson, I'm not too sure. Doesn't. Oh dearie me, that is the 38. That is Patterson, the newcomer into tonight's race. That was not what you wanted to happen from either driver. I did notice Les Stevenson has dropped down into 16th place. Pretty sure they were higher up. Jesse? Not sure what has happened there.
You're absolutely right. Les Stevenson has fallen back a little bit, and I think it might have been contact with Kevin Boss.
Oh dearie me. Friendly fire going to happen here. Up to T2. Oh, kiss kiss. Kevin saying I'm here. Les looks like he's trying to make a move on a Ferrari. He tries to make a move, yeah. Well, that's not...
That was obviously not what sent them backwards, and that tells me typically that it was by themselves, because our tool picks up contact between cars or heavy contact with a wall, and since that's the only incident I have with Les's car, I wonder, it's so easy to go off this racetrack here, wonder if maybe that happened. And folks, just a little tidbit for you about how the going off the track affects you. Here, unlike most places where you can recover from an incident quite nicely, it's about half a second to a full second worth of time loss for a very small mistake. You could say you drive this track on rails.
Yes, and if you see that, you see in the background the 199 of that Ferrari just going around into the last second to last corner now. Malcolm took a bit of a gravel line. That would definitely get you a track warning. You get 3 of them. Your 4th one will give you a drive-through that is handed out by the game, not by us. We do not have live steering tonight, unfortunately. But yeah, Malcolm taken to the gravel. Not what you want. He loses you a lot of time and gives you a track warning. Well, hour and a half race, you don't want track warnings.
That's right. 90-minute finale here, as is tradition. A little blink there from Pimlott, I think, but nothing too crazy there. Raphael Huell took the pole position, and after a huge lunge from Mariano Rodriguez into turn 1. By the way, I think Rodriguez gave Huell that spot back. Didn't feel right about pushing it wide. Oh, there's a crash going on in the background as
Number
well.
14.
The 14 car of Raul Ramos. Oh, and it's a bigger crash with the Carburate car as it's all kicked off here on lap number 3. The Rev It Up Motorsport number 14 has been involved in a couple of calamities, and typically speaking, you don't get that backwards without a little help, and I worry that it might have been contact with the 78 of Carlos Miranda. Let's look. Oh, this is after the fact.
Oh, that's the wrong time to try and spin the car around. Yellow flags were out, so Miranda should have been a bit more cautious, but that's not up for me to decide. Obviously, something else happened with Les. Trying to go for the inside, just catches the rear end. Les knew he did wrong, that's why he waited. And then he got moving again because you could see the BMW could not get past. So very Go on.
I was going to say, it's not been a particularly great start for the Roker Poker here tonight. It has been a pretty good start for these two. They've been able to fight each other a little bit and still get away from Timothy Flamger. Flamger will care not, because they're in a position now where they're pretty much guaranteed the championship win. Even if Rodriguez gets by Huell, Flamger for the moment is safe. Now, if Jordan Daly and Emiliano Gigi gets by them, then it might be time to start worrying if you're the American driver, Timothy Flamger. But until that happens, no big deals. Got some open real estate between them. The fight for the lead very much on. Huell had a somewhat decent lead at the end of lap number 1. Mariano Rodriguez has since set the quickest lap of the race. A 28.010 is the quickest anyone's ran. That's why he's got the magenta number on the scoring pylon, and he has run down our leader, Raphael Huell.
Jesse, you haven't asked me the all-important question.
You're correct, and let's rectify that right now. Ted Edwards, Night Owl, has a set of very interesting rules. One of such rules is random pit requirements every week. What are the requirements for the finale tonight?
It's a mandatory pit stop with a tyre change required, litre of fuel with a 57-minute pit window. So nothing fancy, but the drivers, for the final round, the drivers always know there is going to be a tyre swap, because I'm a bit nice on them for an hour-and-a-half race. That might change in the future. I might change it so they don't have to take tyres, and that's up to them if they do. Because obviously, in the World Tour, you only get a set number of tyre sets, and you have to double stint some of the tyres, so it's still doable in ACC. There was a point where it became a little bit of a questionable thing if you could last 2 hours on tyres, but you can again, so yeah, but no, season 18 might have a change in that. Is Les Stevenson on Miranda, trying to go around the outside into T2. That's not going to work. Straight onto the yellow curve, and yeah, there it goes. Slotting in back behind that AMG.
Flashing of the lights there, registering that they would very much like to get through here at some point. Still looking down to the inside here. He's not afforded a bunch of room, but he's going to try and stuff it in there anyways. Now, Patterson a little bit wide there, but still unable to make the move, and that is very, very close quarters racing there. Actually, that's not Patterson that he's racing, that's Miranda that he's racing for that instance. Meanwhile, up in front, this battle, very calm. These two, very calm is Rodriguez for Gomez Sim Racing here. Hasn't made any lunges or any moves. I think he's been close enough a few times to maybe think about it, but they haven't done it. And I just want to point out something interesting that was said in chat. Leah Montenegro has said, I taught them. I assume they mean to say they taught them everything they know about driving. Well, if that is the case, you have taught them incredibly well. Gomez Sim Racing has showed up in season 17, and they have put everyone on notice. I think season 18, I think they're going to probably be the team to be reckoned with.
Yeah, they sure will be, Jesse, and someone who taught me was Jordan Daly, one of our esports drivers here at RCI, and he's pretty quick when he gets in the car, and he's not doing the worst. I don't know how much practice he had for tonight's race. I know he's been doing a lot of the Nordschleife, just testing out the car, seeing what's what, and how it is in this game. Obviously, he's drove a lot of iRacing, so obviously 2 different games, 2 different sort of physics, and cars do act differently in both. So he's been doing a lot of that. Oh, there you go, he goes wide at the final turn there. So that'd be maybe another track warning. If he's slow enough, it'll be a no time game, but hopefully we don't see a drive-through next to his name in the next 20 minutes, or next hour and 20, should I say.
Hopefully not indeed. Earlier contact between Daly and Emiliano Gigi. Must have not been too terrible because they're still in the positions they were running. It's just going to come together. That is a typical incident there. And I think
Daly, he must have let off.
Daly eventually
he's
makes his way through and takes the 4th place position. Was showing this. Oh, and just in time, Mike Redford contact with Roman Frawler. The 95 versus the 6 there, and that had been brewing for a couple laps. You had Frawler, Redford, and Neil Pimlott all in a group together. And, excuse me, that was Kierton. No, I was right the first time. It was Kierton, Frawler, Redford, and Pimlott that were all together. It was a 4-car train indeed. And as close as they were racing amongst themselves, you had to imagine contact may be coming at some point. Still reading chat. Sevilla has said good evenings, greetings, and shout out to the Gomez Sim Racing Group and Argentina indeed. Thank you all for your very kind messages and cheering on your teams, which is what we're actually interested in seeing, is how many supporters a lot of these teams have. And I think Gomez Sim Racing is outweighing. They're gonna put SJ and H, in a bit of jeopardy for the most fandom, I think.
Just looking here, we've got a car in pit lane 78 of Miranda. Obviously, we've seen them had a few incidents, but I don't think they are coming out of pit lane. We've just been lapped by almost every car. They've been in here for they've just dropped. Oh, they are going. That was a long pit stop. There's been a lot of damage. So, yeah, you see there on the diffuser and the bumper hasn't got any scratches on anymore. So that's a long pit stop. They've still got to do a pit stop that does not count towards the mandatory, unfortunately. But that's what happens in racing. Sometimes contacts do happen, and it's very unfortunate that it's not inside the pit window.
Pit lane here, not really a big deal on the exit. It's a big deal if you're in a Formula car trying to exit. It is a big deal, however, getting into pit lane, and I'm sure when RCI does endurance races here, it'll be a big issue of people cutting pit in, which you're about to see here. You can actually see the white line there that curves into pit lane. A lot of drivers, they duck into pit lane quite a bit later. That typically isn't allowed. Of course, no live stewarding tonight. It's not a big deal. But the reason that's not allowed is because it's unsafe. And number 2, you can get yourself into trouble if you're not following the actual asphalt in the pit lane. You can end up going head on into the wall. Of course, the downhill nature of that pit lane, the entry, quite tricky indeed in any car. But I will admit, I've hit pit out myself. I've hit pit in a bunch in a lot of different cars. But I've only ever hit the pit out wall in a Formula car, turning circle and what have you of a Formula car.
Well, drivers were told tonight to use the pit line to come in, which is the 50 board just before the second to last corner is where the line starts. They want to be on the right hand side of that line so people know they're coming in. Also to use the indicators if they can. I know a lot of drivers don't have enough buttons on their wheel to do so, but if you do, they have been told just to make it easier for the driver behind, because it's not an easy corner to get out of the way for someone who's gonna go slower, because you've got to take a tighter line through the apex. So
speaking of, Neil Pimlott took a tighter line through the apex of that corner and nearly ended up on the inside-outside Livin' La Vida Loca on Olivier Kierton. Was unable to maintain that position. The outside prevails for Kierton, and they continue going as this pack that was 4 cars is starting to reform just a little bit in a 3-car group. Kierton, Pimlott, and Roman Frawler now creeping up into the picture. The entire middle part of this field are Ferraris.
Yeah, sure is. And the top part is Mercedes and McLaren. So very interesting indeed. But this is going to be a long race, Jesse. I didn't realise how simple this track was when you were watching it from the outside perspective of a race car. But it's interesting to see how these cars do react around here. Watching Mike Jones on Kevin Boss battle for fourth place here. McLaren versus GTR. GTR still got the legs in the straight line. McLaren obviously got the cornering grip. Mike trying to go around the outside, keeps it side by side. You see by the grip compared to the tighter line that GTR had to take, but on the straight with no slipstream, it actually looks pretty even. So depends on the setup that Kevin is using.
Oh, he's gonna go. Oh, he went a little deep.
A little deep, Jesse. I think that was sending it deep.
I defer to you on matters of that variety, Ted. You know that, but I thought that for sure the McLaren was going to pull around the outside. GTR, one of the Achilles heels of the GTR is outdated aerodynamics, so it doesn't turn very well under high speed. It does have a high.
Look at that.
Oh, it does have a high top end, but it also brakes really slowly in comparison to any car, let alone a McLaren. So this is David versus Goliath here. Mike Jones for Cave Bear Racing Purple, trying to take the position away, unable to do it, falls back in line, and here is Ash Bibby.
Ash Bibby's trying to make a move. He's not going to be able to. Look at that. The McLaren still has the top speed over the Ferrari. Ash obviously doesn't want to send it into T1. It's a corner you can do, but it's on the exit. It just tightens up through the apex, and on the exit it's very tight to try and get two cars through. So he did the right play there. Same with T2 up here. You can send it, but you both just get a really slow exit because you just need to use the whole of the track. It is a difficult track to overtake. It's easy to follow someone. It's easy to fuel save and tire save. When you just need to chill, though, in the 24 hours, it's very interesting. Ash does the right thing and turns left.
Mike Jones gets a little loose on the exit of the turn as well, but they all continue without any incident. But you'd be forgiven if at home you don't feel a little bit of a storm brewing amongst these three. It certainly feels like that. By the way, Fernando Gomez, that is, the other Gomez Sim Racing driver, the number 60 Lamborghini. They are creeping into this fight. This could end up being, if they don't settle it quickly, this could end up being a four-car battle for this position. Kierton, Pimlott, and Frawler all still together as well, as we've got a couple of different groups battling it out now.
Yeah, we sure do. Pit window is open, so they can pit whenever they like, but I don't think it will be viable for any of the drivers to do so. But you just have to keep an eye. Rodriguez and Flaming are still keeping up there. Daly's dropped off quite a bit in the AMG. GG is catching up to Daly just slightly, and Simose is just hanging in there in 6th place in overall and 1st in silver. So no one's really moving. I think this is where people just sort of get into a rhythm, chill out, keep an eye on the fuel usage, try and not over pressure the tyres. You know, it's when you start racing someone is when you either both start going slow and your tyre pressure start dropping and they start going to get a bit cold, and then that's when mistakes start happening even more. Or they start to overheat because you're sliding more, and that was very close.
Well, Raphael Huell is holding up these cars here. Flamger has erased more than a second gap up to these cars. Huell, a little bit of the cork in the bottle. Rodriguez almost avoiding action or just trying to scrub off as much speed, going to the outer limits of the racetrack to try and not hit the back of the yellow number 21 Mercedes. He's able to do that. Timothy Flamger, whose car has changed colors this week. I'm told that might be on my end, but I have no idea how that would have occurred. I've been told that car is yellow. You clearly see it on your screen that it's green. It's a bit like that dress from about a decade or so ago. Is it purple? Is it gold? Who really knows? But Flamger has caught back up to this group, and that is pretty good for Timothy. I don't know how much I would challenge these two. I mean, it's nice to be in the battle, and obviously a win would be an extra feather in your cap, wouldn't it really? But at the same time, you are the driver that has everything to lose here. I think if anything, you wait for Rodriguez to make a move that sticks on Huell and try to follow him through, perhaps.
Yeah, it's just playing the waiting game, trying to keep it clean. Obviously, post-race penalty still apply, but Rodriguez trying to defend the inside. Oh, catches
he hits
the curb. Flamger has to go wide. Might use a warning, but it's better than having contact and takes second place.
Well, that's the other possibility there. Rodriguez making a uncharacteristic mistake. Flamger goes through for Alpha Sim Sport up into P2, and for a moment, Raphael Huell gets to drive away from the group and alleviate a little bit of the pressure behind them. Miguel Martins cheering on Raphael from the chat as well. I didn't see that coming. I didn't see Rodriguez hitting the inside curb. It wasn't the outside curb that upset Rodriguez's car. It was the gigantic anti-cut curb on the inside. You can cut turn one a little bit, but if you get all the way to the anti-cut part of it, that's a bit of a problem. You can you upset the car. Obviously, when the tires are not on the ground, they're not getting any sort of traction, right? So that's kind of what happened there, and Flamger was able to potentially use one of their track limit warnings, but in the act of avoiding running into the back of Rodriguez a little bit, he's able to go around the outside of him.
Yeah, it's just playing the waiting game, and it's done the right thing. It's yeah, it's just one of these races, Jesse, where you just gotta wait for the person in front to make a mistake, and the same way someone's behind you, putting on the pressure. You just want them to make a mistake. You don't want them to obviously end their race by having to crash into a wall or whatever, but it's one of those things that I think about is when someone's behind me and putting on the pressure, it doesn't get to me as such, but it's the fact of if they get their braking wrong, I'm in the crossfire. So that plays in the back of my head a little bit sometimes, because it's happened to me quite a bit. And funny enough, it happened to me last night with Raphael Huell, who we decided to accidentally forget where his braking zone was into the last corner on Bathurst and help me do a little bit of a drift, but he let me back through as a good driver he is. I did beat him though.
Well, we have lost a car. We started with 21. We're down to 20. I think the 78 has officially retired. We saw them come into pit lane. They did leave pit lane. They ran several laps, but the 78 car has unfortunately retired after a less than auspicious start to the race.
That is a shame, and they were 6th overall in the standings. Did have a sign out for Donington Park, so 62 points. Mike Jones will obviously now beat them on the points. There's only 1 point behind, and might drop a few more to maybe Ash Bibi and Neil Pinlock. We'll have to wait until after the race, but very unfortunate indeed. But just what we've got is still an hour and 5 minutes left to go, Jesse. I just want to talk about a few of the other championships we do have going on at the minute. I just want to say about the World Tour. It's actually been round one was pretty fun. Coming back into endurance, I haven't done that for a while, and I found that really fun. So if you and a couple of friends will want to do some endurance racing, we just did the round one of the Nürburgring, which was a 4-hour race. Round 2 happens next weekend for a 12-hour of Paul Ricard. You can do it as a 2-driver minimum. Up to I think four drivers is the maximum for that race. You have 8 tyres. Well, there you go. Here's a train choo-choo with the Aston Martin leading. You do have 8 tyres, eight dry tyres that is, as your limit, so you might have to double stint some of your tyres, but it's pretty fun. I've done some testing recently. Obviously, the practice server is open. Pre-queue you will need to do for all drivers that are participating for round 2. So have a look on the website and obviously have a look in our Discord. Both links are in the description below. Any questions, just ask in the ACC general chat or the World Tour chats, and one of the staff members will be there to help you. But yeah, it's pretty fun. We have got split 1 and split 2. Split 1 is pro and silver, and split 2 is silver and our. We had a big turnout, Jesse, this year. 35 cars in each split. Was very, very nice to see. But yeah, it is a bunch of fun. Obviously, we've still got, I think we've got Monday champs still to go as that. But yeah, we've got Monday champ, which is at Alton Park this week. Final round for that as well. And then we've got Wednesday champ, which is at Brands Hatch. That is singles or duo. After that, we've got iRacing on Thursdays. Round 2 is at Daytona International Speedway. That is in your GTPs, LMP2s, and GT3 class cars. That is, we've been enjoying that over here at RCI. The iRacing's really picked up and got quite a few drivers this time around. 30 signups for the IMSA Season 2. And then obviously Friday GT2 Season 2, just done round 1 at Bathurst. That was really fun. Only 2 drivers had left. Had retired the cars last night, which was very surprising indeed. Not many people making contacts with the wall. Oliver Curtin almost made contact with the rear end of the 972. Very close indeed. But yeah, next one is at Watkins Glen next Friday, so come and join us. GT2s are actually a bunch of fun. It's a GT4 with a GT3 engine is what it feels like, and actually very surprisingly very grippy. Did enjoy that as well. But then we've got World Tour obviously next weekend. I just told you about at Paul Ricard. So we've still got many championships there and more on the way, especially with our 12-hour of the Nordschleife. Multi-class is what it's called. GT3, GT2, Cup car, GT4 and TCX. So 5 class of cars, Jesse. It's going to be very interesting indeed.
Yep, certainly the case. A lot of good racing, of course. You can join any championship mid-season at any point if you like, just by going to the website racerci.com and joining the series. You don't have to wait for the next season a month or so down the line. Get involved at any point, which is why you see on the championship standings we showed you prior to today's race, there's so many different pockets of contenders that are all on top of each other. That's because they either joined at different points in the season or they signed out of a few rounds and they come back, something like that. And it creates these weird gaps in the points, but you're still racing folks who are on similar pace to you. Of course, 2 different classes tonight. We haven't really touched on that necessarily, but pro and silver, the white and gray numbered backgrounds respectively. 2 different championships as well. So regardless of your pace, we have a split for you. Sandro Simoes, by the way, for the silver class, putting an absolute hurting on him here again tonight, has a incredibly healthy lead on Matthew Malcolm. The problem, though, is second place in the silver class, Gore Fox, who has been able to sustain a couple of attacks on their position for P2. Neil Pimlott, for the most part, being incredibly patient in third place in that category, in 10th place overall. He is Olivier Curtin's biggest fan right now.
You could say that again. An hour and 36 seconds of the race left to go. 44 minutes on the pit window. Lawson has done their pit stop, didn't you? If you noticed that one, Jesse. 1 minute 16, so we have to keep an eye on that. Still got front end damage, unless that is a visual bug.
Yeah, it might have not updated. It does happen like that sometimes for whatever reason, where they get it repaired, but they don't actually it doesn't actually refresh server side, so we don't get to see it. It's hard to tell. I mean, well, actually, it wouldn't be that hard to tell. We should be able to tell based on how quickly they're running around the track. So we'll keep an eye on that. But they are the only car that has stayed out there on the racetrack and has done their pit stop. Olivier Kierton getting sideways there, getting high centered on the curb, and that's going to allow Neil Pimlott to advance their position. And here comes Roman Frawler as well.
It's crazy, make one mistake and all these cars can get past you, and here comes Redford as well, charging into the braking zone. Oh, just makes a mistake and has a little bit of a slide, so all that time he gained he just lost again, but he'll back up there trying to get into the fight with these pro drivers for points.
Yeah, I mentioned before we actually went racing here tonight a little bit of a bump right there from Kierton into the back of Frawler. I mentioned, though, that unlike most racetracks where you have a bad turn, you lose a tenth or so, and you keep it moving, that's not what happens here, because this is almost like a Scalextrics racetrack where if you're not in the groove, you're losing time. And even worse than that, going wide, wiggling off of a corner, high centering in turn one, exactly like what we saw Olivier do, that could lose you half a second to a full second. The difference when you're racing in packs like this is exactly that. You go from a position in 6th, 7th place, or in his case, he was 9th place. You go all the way back to 11th as he's into the pit lane this time.
Yeah, a few drivers dropping into the pit lane. I believe they took the correct line into it. I mean, just having a little bit of a look back there, because it is a reportable offence post-race. And yes, drivers doing the respectful thing. Just looking back on our replays, look at that. Oh dear, that.
You know what that was?
Redford not looking at indicators, Jesse Lee.
Did he have his indicator on? I didn't even see that part myself. But yeah, I was going to say, that's just Kierton slowing down. Kierton did everything right there. He was in the lane. He was slowing down, used his indicator. And it's just one of those things. It's pit in here, as mentioned prior on this broadcast, is a bit of a sticking, I was going to say a sticking point, but it's a bit of a coming together point. It is a cause for calamity if you are not fully aware of your surroundings. For Mike Redford, he just thought he was going for an overtake right there, and turns out the car in front of him is coming to pit lane.
Yeah, well, they were told to get to the right hand side, and that's what Curtin did. And then from the camera angle I saw, he did have his indicator on. They are pretty small on the Ferraris, but he done all the right things. So if Redford does report that post race, then I'm not sure how the stewards are going to react. But it was pointed out in the briefing of what to do, just to try and minimise any crashes, because that could have been a lot worse. You know, if Curtin took the normal racing line into that corner but then slowed right down to get into pit lane, could have ended up even worse.
Mike Jones still trying to get around the GTR of Kevin Voss. He's unable to do so. The McLaren is pretty formidable in a straight line as well, so it's not the big advantage that you would expect it to be. And I think Mike just looking for an open alleyway to make the move, but a little bit more solid off the corner was Boss in the GTR. And for another lap or so, at least until they get back to the pit straight, they are apart again. And that's kind of what's been happening in that battle for 12th place, or I think that's 4th in their class as well, that they're fighting over. Is Mike Jones will make all the necessary moves. The more agile McLaren gets into the position to make the move and has one shot at it, doesn't quite get an open look at it, falls back, starts over again. And you never know. I mean, you've got to continue to pile on the pressure, because any move, any moment, as we've seen with cars inside our top 10, any minor mistake could lead to the position change, because you make a mistake here, as we've said and documented. There's no such thing as a small error at this place.
Yeah, it's
By the way, here he is again on cue, spent the rest of the lap catching back up. Oh, and he loses it again. It's a big slide, and he's not going to save it. Mike Jones hard into the outside. Oh, and he pulls across the racetrack. An incredibly dangerous and scary maneuver there. A car, Ash Bibby, taking immediate evasive action. Mike Jones has fallen from the field from 12th down to 14th, but my goodness, Ash Bibby with the avoidance maneuver. And you know what we're going to do? I'm going to cue up a long replay, and I want to show you just how scary this was from Ash Bibby's point of view. I do apologize. This is quite a long replay.
How long?
All of it. All of it's the answer, but it gives us time to talk about it. That was a very scary move from Mike Jones there. That is not the recommended way to rejoin the racetrack, turning it around like that. I wonder if he thought that he had more space than he did, and it all came undone. That's not even, yeah, that is Jones right in front of him. You see he disappears around the corner. This is on board with Ash Bibby, and there's no car there, and then just, whoa, boy!
That was very, very, very close. That is, you can still get reported for an unsafe rejoin, even though there's no contact. You can still, Ash could still report that if he wanted to, because that's not what you see when you come out of the T1 and you're flooring it and trying to get up through the gears. But I believe I could hear Ash halfway across the country saying some words, but that was I would not want to see that come around the corner. I had that last night's race. Funny enough, Jesse Lee going through the mountain, one of the back marker cars decided he wanted to pull to the side on the racing line and stamp on his brakes, and I almost had contact with that car as well. So it's not something you want to try and react to in a split second. But Ash made it round, and Jones is in the pit lane, and obviously to repair that damage. Looking at the cars that have pitted, obviously Lawson came in first, 1 minute 16. Obviously that was for damage on top. Gore Fox with a 1 minute 10. Oliver Curtin with a 1 minute 8.6. So getting quicker and quicker, and I think Jones is going to be at least a 1 minute 16 to at least like a 1:20.
Well, the most interesting thing that happened there with that pit cycle, the Kraken Engineering 111 has come out in front of Gore Fox. Now, that doesn't really mean anything for either car. They're in two different classes, of course, but remember, Kierton was in behind a bunch of these cars prior to the pit stop going off, and definitely was trying to get by Fox before the stop and ended up losing positions in the process. So that's huge that Olivier was able to get all that ground back and beat Fox off of pit lane. But it's little wonder why, because Gore Fox did a 1 minute 10.4 down pit lane. I can't imagine there was too much in the way of damage. Oh, and Olivier gets all out of control there, and that's going to allow Jordan Daly through. Daly, of course, lapping this group, still yet to do their pit stop as well. But a 1 minute 10.4 for Fox. It was a 1 minute 8.7 for Kierton, and that's why, I mean, there was probably 2.5 seconds in it, the gap to them, and that's about what they made up, because Fox came out right behind the Ferrari.
Just looking at Mike Jones's pit time, that was close, Jesse. A 1 minute 21.5.
Oh, very nice. Well done.
You can see I've taken damage a few times on the front end of my car in total.
Yeah, what I find interesting about damage and how it's conveyed and everything in different sims is an incident that would be 3 minutes worth of repairs in iRacing is a 20-some second repair in ACC, and obviously different series is different sort of damage models and how it's calculated. I think the one that makes me laugh the most is all of the Automobilista 2s in there as well, but the Project Cars ones as well, where you can get catastrophic damage and they just replace the component, and you're back out there quite quickly most of the time. I think that might be a damage option as well. I can't remember. My brain doesn't go back that far, but I love the idea of quick repairs. iRacing gives you one of those for select races as well, a fast repair. as it's known. I love that Magic Eraser for race car drivers. Are you a fan of the quick repair?
Yeah, I am, because, well, we use it in our iRacing league. Obviously, it's just help people out, new people coming and racing with us. We don't want it to be too hardcore, like some of the normal like pub races that are set up by iRacing. There's some of them, I think it's above C class, and once you get B and A class, you don't get a fast repair. You get damage, you've got to repair it. But I burnt through mine on Thursday night. I used it and then I got damage again, and it was a 27-minute required fix. So I was out for the whole race, unfortunately. But it is brutal. It teaches you need to drive very, very sensibly. You know, you got to know the limits of your car. You can't just guess and hope your tyres make it round a corner after 60 minutes or so. And it's taught me for ACC guys to apply this from iRacing is just drive sensibly and try and not make any contact with the car, and don't take a corner too silly where it could, you know, hit an anti-cut curb and it could send you off like we see with Jones and send you into the barrier. Yeah, it's not as damaging in that ACC, but damage is damage.
Yeah, the best thing to know about damage is just don't get it. It's as simple as that.
Yep.
It's the simplest and the hardest thing at the same time. Just don't do it. If you're going to crash, just don't. Simple advice from a simple man.
Spin into a gravel trap. Some Bathurst different.
Yeah, there's nothing soft about Bathurst at all, as I suspect. Neil Pimlott is coming into the pit lane. He certainly is. The Conquest Racing 45 down to the attention of their team. They are the car furthest up to come in.
Look how small that indicator is.
Yeah, it's an absolutely tiny indicator. Ferrari wasn't really worried about traffic signals when they built their cars in general, I suppose. That's probably the last thing on their mind. But this is interesting because, remember, Neil Pimlott was in the Kierton-Fox battle earlier on, and the question remains, where will they come out? Here is Kierton, who has lost Fox by about 2 seconds now. The Kraken Engineering car coming through the third sector, or will be here in a turn or so. Meanwhile, Neil Pimlott still sitting in their pit stall. More cars looking like they're either yielding or coming into pit lane. Looks like that was a yield there for
Lawson.
Blue flags.
Yeah. Lawson doing the right thing and just giving way on a straight. Very well done from them. There are a few, I think they were a lap down on Jones and 2 laps from the leaders, but yeah, very well done indeed.
Here comes Kierton, the yellow car that just flashed under your screen. You can see the red and white car coming out of pit lane. Kierton with an excellent stop. Neil Pimlott had a rather slow one. I wonder if they definitely repaired damage. A 1:12.4 for Pimlott on and off of pit lane. And just as we've said that, it has started a couple of cars that have come down the lane. Timothy Flamger doing anything Huell's doing, I feel like. I felt like that may have been a knee-jerk reaction from Flamger to come in with Huell. Well, lest they had the same idea to begin with, but both those cars down the pit lane, and as close as they were running, a second, as we've seen the gaps vary wildly thus far, would make a huge difference in those positions. Sandro Samos for Car Racing up into third place, making a pass on Emiliano Gigi, I'm pretty sure. The timing board hasn't updated, but I'm quite certain that's a Gomez Racing car behind them, and it is. Gigi is now behind. I didn't quite see what led to that pass. It may just be Samos has the ultimate pace advantage here.
Yeah, oh, is that, I think that's Gigi coming into pit lane. There's Jordan Daly coming in as well. There's Gigi, so Samos will take second in the race, whereas Rodriguez is still going around with the fastest lap as well, coming up to T2. Just see on the track map to the right, the triangle is the leader. have to see what these pit stop times are. The average is about 1 minute 8. Is the quick times? Flamga 1 minute 8.3. Fuel a 1 minute 9.7. So just have to keep an eye on Daly and GG to see what their pit stop times are. There's Ash going to be leaving the pit lane. 1 minute 14, so a little bit of damage there. Probably being repaired.
Fernando Gomez leaving the pit lane as well. The Gomez Sim Racing silver entry, and dare I say the namesake of the team as well. Getting everything leaving the pit lane. What is this camera? Red Bull Ring, what is going on with this camera? Being flashed by the Alpha Sim Sport car there as they go by to let them know, hey, I'm coming through here on the outside lane. A couple of more cars, Emiliano on the out, and
back here again.
Yeah, bad camera again. GG ran a 10.9. Jordan Daly did a 10.9 as well. That seems to be the sweet spot. Raphael Huell comes out and runs a 9.6 down pit lane, but that is not the problem. The problem is that Timothy Flamger did an 8.2. I talked about how close they were on the racetrack, and a couple of seconds would mean the world, and it has here. About 1.5 seconds, the difference between the two leaders. Flamger is now the leader of the cars that have pitted, and by virtue of all the other cars having to pit at some point, will likely be your leader of the race. Mike Redford in, Matthew Malcolm in the pit lane. Your silver leader, Sandro Simoes, also in the pit lane now.
Just have to see. Rodriguez still going for some reason. Not sure what their plan is. Friday is still going as well. Two of the silvers still need to pit. Les Stevenson and Patterson both in the Lexus, or Lexuses, however you would like to take it.
I prefer Lexi, but that's just, I like to make the world
Yeah.
harder for myself. Yeah, I think, I'm pretty sure. Cam Patterson in the Tech 1 liveried Lexus into pit lane. Lexus, a popular pick in that silver category this championship. And of course, we don't even have all of them for the final. Callum Kerrigan, unable to make tonight's finale. He was also in a Lexus.
He sure was. Very sad to see he is not here with us tonight, because he was doing pretty well in the silver class, especially in a car that's not really got a good bop, but it's come back up with the Kunos buff, if you like. Roman Friday is coming into pit lane now. Oh dear. Just watched there, you just catch it there, Jesse. I'm looking on my other camera. I can see, been watching them for a while, and they just had too much speed to do the stay in the white line. So luckily didn't have anyone behind them. But it's just Les Stevenson to come and pit, which is the number 46, wherever they are. Coming up to the second to last corner now. I suspect they will do a pit stop this lap.
Mariano Rodriguez leads a lap and then comes into pit lane with Frawler. Flamger should, for all intents and purposes, inherit the lead here. They haven't quite done it on the road, as it's a close race off of pit lane, but it won't matter. Rodriguez, who is battling Flamger for the lead, will have to come down pit lane a second time, speeding in the pit lane for the 85.
That is that's pretty big, Jesse. That is very, very, very unfortunate. That's going to put them down quite a few positions, and they have to set that within 3 laps of acquiring it. So that's no, it's not a race ender, but it's something you don't want.
Yeah, just an explanation for the uninitiated. Oh, and there's going to be contact there between the two racing for the lead, Flamger and Rodriguez. Flamger's wondering what is going on with Mariano. He's got the penalty anyway. Why is he racing me this hard? And for Flamger, this is one of those instances where you're trying to hit a walk-off home run, and it might be better to not battle him, but he will do. The Alpha Sim Sport car down the inside for the penultimate corner. Now Rodriguez has an option. He's got 3 laps to come serve the stop and go. He will let off the throttle. He'll hit the brake, and he will come down. pit lane this time. But just an explanation on that stop and go 30. No live stewarding here for Night Owl Season 17. So that is a ACC assigned penalty. Whenever you speed in pit lane, you can get a drive-through if it's minor speeding, or if it's over a couple of kilometers an hour, you end up getting a stop and go for it. And that's what's happened. Mariano, I don't know if he sped coming in or leaving. It is possible to hit the button while you're sitting in your box as well and not realize you're not on the limiter as you set off, and then all of a sudden you're speeding immediately. It's more likely, though, as the Roker Poker comes into the pit lane, it is more likely that you don't get down to the speed in time because you're trying to maximize your pit entry one way or another. That could have been huge for Rodriguez. He ran an 8.3 on pit lane, and he was neck and neck with the leader, Flamger.
Yeah, well, that's going to move them down quite a few positions. Les Stevenson will... no, Les Stevenson won't take them for position as they're doing their pits. No, as Rodriguez time penalty has gone. They are actually leaving way before Les. So there's the time difference from when Les pitted in. There they go. Flamger's got a 2.2 second lead. Daly is 8.1 behind Huell. So that's a pretty big gap. We see what Daly's best lap is almost the same as Flamger and Huell's, 128.2 for all three of those drivers. Malcolm is Malcolm's at 29.2. So the only three cars to have a 28.2. The fastest lap is Rodriguez with a 28.010 still. We'll keep the fastest lap. We'll keep the points for the fastest lap as long as they don't leave the race, but they are still going round. Down in 12th place, in 9th place, 10th place overall.
Mike Redford, during his pit stop, explained the contact that they had, I think, with Kierton as Kierton came in for their pit stop. Says, I thought he was defending. Can't see the indicator from the left side of the car. Also F. I think the F was a personal thing for something that went wrong in his race. Mike was not feeling it. The Mike Racing 95, they weren't feeling it in qualifying. Apparently, they were frustrated with how it was going and how it had gone. But I mean, they're definitely. I think they qualified last in their class, but they're up several spots now, and they're right behind Rome and Frawler for another position, so they can't be too displeased with how this race has gone. But the explanation for the contact with the pitting Kierton car, exactly as you described, Tim.
Yeah, it's yeah, I just lost my train of thought. I was just looking over at the last lap of Huell, and it was going crazy in the lap time, but he did 128.2, but it's red, so that means he went out of track limit. Sorry, it caught me off guard. I was wondering why it was showing red when it was faster than its best, but I forget it does that when it's a invalid lap by extending track limit. So just have to keep an eye on what Huell does. Obviously he's pushing that AMG to the limit, and we know it's quick in a straight line. It does get round corners quite well, but compared to the McLaren, he's pretty outmatched, I would say. But we've seen Huell the whole time doing very, very well in this AMG. As we see the Ferraris all in line, Ash Bibby needs to get up there, so we have all six of them in a train.
Yeah, we need all of them. If this group could, if Malcolm could slow them down a little bit, or if Bibby could pick it up just a little bit, we could have all of the cars, the Ferraris in a line. But yeah, you've seen what I've seen, and we've all seen it. It is a drive-through penalty for Mariano Rodriguez, another ACC assigned penalty. That one not for speeding in the pit lane. That penalty is for track limits. You get 3 track limit warnings, and on the 4th time violating the track limits, it gives you a drive-through penalty. It has gone from bad to worse for the 85.
Yeah, and again, you have to serve that within 3 laps of acquiring it, so I suspect they'll come down again this time around, and going to put them quite far back. It's only a drive-through, so you don't have to be held. It's just going through pit lane, but it's pretty long pit lane, Jesse. And obviously you got the final turn is pit in, and then the T1 is you come out just after of the exit. But they are going to come down, and again, sort of missing that white line, but no one around, so it's not too bad. Kevin Boss will overtake with the 11 unlapping themselves from Rodriguez.
The other dangerous part about serving a penalty like that is you're frustrated, the race hasn't gone your way, and you come in hot down pit lane, and if you get a speeding penalty while trying to serve a drive-through penalty, it compounds that penalty, and you don't want to see that. And you certainly don't want to hit this line and see another penalty pop up, and you don't. For Rodriguez, they'll be able to rejoin the fray. Now, that's going to be a frustrated race car driver, which is bad for him, but it's interesting for us because we're going to see him come through some of this traffic now, and he's going to be a little bit upset, which means he's probably not going to give everybody as much room as you would normally see Mariano give somebody. And as humorous as that is to us, you just hope that he remains calm and he picks these cars off one by one. Mike Redford continuing to hound the back of Roman Frawler for the time being. This for sort of the middle of the pro field now.
All drivers have done their mandatory pit stop, so no one really needs to pit again unless there is heavy damage or penalties. So that pit window you see at the top, you can throw that one out of the window. And we've just got 33 minutes and 20 seconds left of the race on the timer, that is. So you might extend that, depends on where Flanger is when it reaches 0. Redford trying to go around the outside into T2, seen this many times, it doesn't work. And again, there you go, it goes over the yellow off the track a little bit, does get better exit. Just there you can see the overspeed on Frawler. But Frawler has the inside for T3. Can he get him on the braking? Will he send it? No, he lets Redford have it by the looks of it. Yeah, that T2, Jesse, turn 2 should I say, is it could be quite difficult because if you're just taking the line as normal, you're not fighting anyone, you can still bog the rear down. I found in the Lexus, especially, I haven't really tested any of the cars here, but it just, you come in, you take the apex nicely, but when you floor it again, he just wants to bog. And I'm in TC1, so it shouldn't really be sticking as much. You do want the traction, but I want to be going. And by watching some of these cars tonight, obviously going too wide, you can see the inside car bogs down, the outside car has a bit of speed, but then the outside car goes wide, they don't want to get a track limit, and the inside car then can get back up to speed again. And it's probably one of the trickiest corners there is here for side-by-side racing.
A lot of these corners are tricky, Ted, simply because the track, there's no standard corners here. They're all very strange. Turn 1 is an uphill 90 right with death curbs on either side, and you can run wide there, but obviously that'll give you a track limit warning, so you can't do that. You got to hit it a certain way. Usually that means driving almost off the track on the left, or in my case, I do drive off the track on the left prior to turn number 1. Turn 2 is exactly as you say. It's another steep incline, so you're late on the brakes because the incline helps you brake as well, but you can get out there on the outside as long as you can just maintain enough of the track on the outside. You can stay there, and the cars that are on the inside, they get bound up a little bit, and obviously you're taking away their exit. And then the whole middle of this track, the middle sector, you can get away with outside passes, which is very odd. Normally you wouldn't ever see that, but the way that the entire middle sector here at Red Bull Ring flows, you can, if you can get your nose in there, you can use the outside part of the racetrack to make passes. Just don't go too far, you get into the rubber and the clag. "30 minutes left of the race here tonight, the 90-minute finale, as is tradition here for Night Owl. And we've alluded to it on a couple of different occasions, but I don't know if we have actually said it out loud or not. Season 18, Ted Edwards, event manager. Is it happening? When is it happening?
Well, we're going to go on a little bit of a break, a month and a bit, due to all the endurance races that is obviously planned. Obviously, we've got 12-hour, we've got the 12-hour Pro Recoverable Tour next week. We have the 12-hour of the Nords coming up on the 27th of April, I do believe. Silence are open now, so get a team signed up. You can do it as a 2-man, you can do it as I think a 4-man is the max. You have to have a look on, have a look for yourself. All the information is on the website and in Discord. I didn't mean that in a nasty way. I just haven't looked.
You can tell what kind of household Ted grew up in based on that, I think.
Where's the food? Have a look for yourself. But yeah, so we've put on a
You
little bit
too,
of break.
Ted.
Yeah, having a little bit of a break. Obviously, iRacing's 24-hour of Nordschleife themselves, the official race done by iRacing. That is on the weekend, and I have said for this year, no night-hour races will be done on a weekend where there is our own Enduros, unless it's a small one, or an iRacing Enduro, because it's not fair on people who have to try and juggle between the two. And I don't want tired drivers driving here or driving in another race. So we're going to go for a little break, but season 18 will happen. It is confirmed, and obviously keep an eye on the website or keep an eye in our Discord for when that will happen. Sometime in June. I've got it jotted down, but obviously it might change if we want to run anything else.
You know, in all credit to you, Ted, because I think that strategy works. I think it's a smart plan that you've made, and this season kind of adds to that, because typically an end of a campaign, you have about 20 or less than 20 cars that make it throughout the campaign, and that could be a lot of things, fatigue, time, etc. Time, of course, for everybody is precious, but I think whenever you're knowingly not competing with another series, that helps with driver retention. We had 21 cars take the green flag here tonight, and that's after a grueling season that they've been a part of. They've been all across the world, and it's been split up over a couple of months, but because you've segmented it in a way that doesn't make the drivers choose this or another series, or doing multiple races or of extreme length, I think you've added some driver retention to that, so well done.
Yeah, well, we've seen it before when I've overlapped them and not really thought about it too much. And obviously this was before we did our own iRacing and didn't really look into the endurance unless I was doing them myself. And there's quite a few of them I don't do just because maybe not have a team or just don't have the content. And it's not fair. I've done it once before when I think I was doing the 24 hours of Daytona iRacing in February one year. And I did that, and I did night out because I'd driven it before when I think it was Mike Jones who was hosting it way back in the day when RCI first started. And it's not easy. You think you can do it, and you pumped up on energy drinks or whatever, coffee, just to get you through it, and it tires you out somewhat. Switching from one sim to another is not what you want. Les Stevenson and Ash Bibby just having a little bit of a bump at that. T2, but yeah, I just try and be nice on everyone, and well, we've still got 19 drivers tonight. Or let's send them up to the inside and just catching the curb with the leaders behind them.
Yeah, that's always a scary proposition, because you see two cars racing each other. For Timothy Flamger, though, it's kind of, oh, good, you saw that, and you're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, there was a bit of a bump, but they've settled it by the time I've gotten here, so maybe they'll be a little bit more hospitable. But oh no, it's going to be a big crash! Ash Bibby is going to somehow rodeo it, and he's not going to be able to save it. I thought for a second he was going to have control of the car. He ended up not, and now he's going to have to rejoin. I don't think we exactly caught what started all of that, but this is back to the initial contact. We're going to follow Ash Bibby throughout. That's Flamger in the green and black car. That's your race leader right behind them, and you're going to see how close and scary this ended up being. So Bibby now clearly behind Les Stevenson in the Lexus, but somehow Bibby catches all the way back up to the Lexus here in this one corner. We'll see why that was.
I wonder if he just caught an anti-cut curve, because they don't feel
What a
bumpy, but they can snap you off. So, oh no, he loses it there.
He just gets arrow loose behind the Lexus.
Maybe it's tires, maybe pressures aren't up, maybe they're overheated. He's trying to get up to Les, so he's maybe sliding, overheating them. But that was Flamger. He tensed his whole body then. I can bet you he was pretty. He was already saying his race was over.
Timothy's pretty good at whenever he wins races, he comes in and talks to us. I hope he does tonight because he's looking like champion-elect, of course. If you are wondering about the way the championship situation is working out, well, it's actually quite simple tonight. Your championship leaders in both categories are also leading their respective races, so no math necessary, and I think all of you have taken a collective sigh of relief there that you're not going to have to listen to Jesse Lee maths tonight. But Flamger and Simoes leading their classes in tonight's race. They're looking like champion-elect, and I'm quite curious what Flamger would have been saying if it were me, and I don't know Timothy that well, but I imagine he had advanced to the bartering stage of grief, where he's just saying, please no. That's I mean, what else do you got at that point? You're staring at a car who's going sideways across the track. I mean, not Ash Bibby's fault there. I mean, Ash is just trying to get back in a position to race against Les Stevenson, and he was most of the way there. The car just washes out and just unable to recover there, and it just so happens that the leader of the race right behind him at the time when it happened.
I'd already be saying, I'm gone, because like, what do you expect from that situation? It is a scary thing because you just don't know where that car is going. But Ash somehow didn't hit anyone, which is a win for him and a win for everyone else. But he's still driving. He's still 16th place overall. He is 7th place in silver, so still doing well, still getting points. He's only 1.5 behind Mike, so he's still got a chance to race. There's still 22 minutes of the race left to go, but depends how badly damaged that front end is, and depends how his tyres are now. But I think he'll be a-okay.
Just getting out of the way there. I think maybe being blue flagged, in fact, is just moving over. We saw him do that a couple times earlier in some of the shots where Ash driving responsibly in that way of just realizing that there's no reason to even try and contend or get the max out of a corner. Erring on the side of caution, certainly. Telegraphing your moves and whatnot. There's something to be said about racecraft in what it means to be a back marker. I would argue quite often, and I do, that if you are a driver in front of the field and you don't ever really have the experience of coming up through the ranks, and there are aliens that are like that have never known what it's like to be a silver driver or worse, you don't have as good racecraft usually versus a driver that has come up through the ranks. Ted, you started as an AM. You know what it's like to be a lap or so down at the end of a race before. I mean, you're a pro driver now, but there's something to be said about that, right? About getting those reps in, learning racecraft, and if you don't have that sort of perspective, you don't know what to do when you are lapping or being lapped.
Yeah, it's difficult. Obviously, being an AM, you don't want to get in anyone's way. You're still trying to learn the cars. You're still trying to learn the track. It's not even nowadays. You know, they've done a lot of different improvements to ACC since I started 3 or 4 years ago now. So it has changed, but it's still the same principle of you know, how you drive. And obviously, back in the day, Night Owl had 2 splits, and if you like 4 classes, you had AM, you had and low silver in one in split 2, and then the split 1 was the high silver and pro. And we went from AM to low silver, and you know, you driving sort of changes. Obviously, that you're the top class in that split, and you know, you sort of got to grips with the cars. You're earning more points. You got a bit more of a racecraft, and then we never really saw high silver because Mike Jones thought it'd be funny and put us into pro, which actually improved our racecraft. He put me, yeah, he put himself, me, Jordan Daly, and Grim Lilith all into pro just for a laugh for one season, and we all did fairly okay. And Jordan Daly was by far the one that came out on top of all of us. He really improved his way of driving. I think it's just having faster drivers race you makes you sort of put more effort into learning the how the track works, how the car works on the track, and what the line is for that car, and what you should and shouldn't do. And you just try, because you obviously want to try and keep up with them, and it was a very big boost in what we needed to do, and it was really fun. So, but if you don't have something like that and you're trying to work it on your own, it is difficult, but you can get there. And obviously one of our partners can obviously help you there. Driver 61, they help all different types of sim racers, even help some of the pros still, to try and help on them improve their lap times and race craft. They do all sorts of different stuff, from one-on-one driving, driver coaching, to full-on driver courses. You can unlock your racecraft, and some of the potential you don't know there. Obviously, Mike Jones helped me a little bit by forcing me into a higher class. Driver 61 can do the same for you. All the details are in the description below, so go and check them out. They help a lot of people, and a few of the staff members over here at RCI have used them and have benefited from it. So go and check them out. And obviously, Go Setups will help you out as well. They've got all sorts of different setups. They've got Nord setups already coming out. They've got wet setups for Nords already coming out. They've got setups for Red Bull Ring. They've got Lexus setups, which is crazy to think. Lexus didn't really have many setups back in the day. Well, let's say 6 months ago. Now they're all coming out with these Lexus setups. So if you want to try out with a nice V8 motor, then head over to Go Setups. They've got all different ones. They've got esports, and they've got safe setups as well. And of course, the web setups coming included in the bundles. You can buy a full track list for one car, or you can buy you have their subscription plan. You get 30 setups a month. Jordan Daly uses all of his, because he drives so many cars in so many championships, and he hasn't looked back since. And Ash Bibby, I know, is using one tonight. Probably Mike Jones is. Les Stevenson, most likely. Kevin Boss. Quite a lot of these drivers are using Go Setups, so head over there. Description. The link is in the description down below.
Very interesting fight here brewing. Ash Bibby versus Mike Jones. Wonder if Jones had another little bit of an episode there that led to that. And those cars are together. Mariano Rodriguez has caught the back of Kevin Boss. Kevin Boss, that's not a defensive line the GTR is taking. That is a go ahead and don't go ahead and go. There is no reason I should be racing you anyway. We see a lot of cars have done that to the Rodriguez 85 here tonight. They don't want to have to race him. They realize he's quicker. He's got the fastest lap of the race, as we've documented earlier in the broadcast as well. And you know, you got to respect Kevin Boss for that, because Boss realizes, not in my class, not even in my pace group, I'm in a GTR of all things as well. Just you know, don't make me lose time here, because there's a lot more on the table. Keep in mind, that was a 5 or so second gap Rodriguez erased in the last 4 laps to make up that position. 10 seconds to Gore Fox in front. Be interested to see in 15 and a half minutes or so to see if Rodriguez can get to Fox in front.
Yeah, well, it's only almost 12 seconds. No, I'm reading that wrong. It's 20 seconds difference to Curtin, that is. I'm reading. So 9 seconds to Fox, 10 seconds to Pimlott, and another 1.1 to Kern. So about 20 seconds difference. I have to see if they can catch it to the pro field. See if they can gain some points back from, you know, having 2 penalties in a race. I'm surprised they're still going. Some drivers just retire the car and say, yeah, I'm done. You know, still got half an hour left of the race, but 15 minutes later they are still driving. So got to give it to them. And obviously Scott Lawson still driving as well in the number 11 BMW. They are a few laps down from the leaders, 1 lap down from Gomez, and still driving. Still, it's not about the points for probably this driver, Jesse. They're still getting points. I think it's it's top 20 points, I think, for both of the classes. But just driving the track, getting used to the M4, getting used to Red Bull Ring, just gains you experience on how to drive, how to deal with people lapping you. Here comes Mike Jones and Ash Bibby, who you got to yield to. It's not F1 rules where you have to dive out of the way, but as you see there, they're trying to move out of the way. But they should, well, I suspect they will let them through here. There you go, they've lifted off, let Mike go through, and then Ash will come through as well. Very well played indeed. And this sort of like knowledge of what you should do and what you shouldn't do in a race will go over to an endurance race if they ever do any, and will help them out a lot, especially if they're in a slower class car. It will help them out deal with the faster class car and know where you can and can't get out of the way. Obviously some tracks are more difficult than others. Like I think Nords is going to be quite difficult for people who have never driven it before. The second hardest track that we have in ACC, I would say, is Bathurst, because you can't really let anyone through in the mountains, so that's a learning curve for some people as well. We found out last night it's not easy for the GC2s to do anything in the mountain, and some of the new drivers didn't really know what to do with the with the faster cars coming through. But it's all a learning curve for everyone. I still learn every day, and I think Jesse as well. You always find something new about ACC.
Well, you never stop learning. Part of being a race car driver, real or virtual, is that you never stop learning. And the day you stop learning is the day you stop being competitive. Because every day, like you say, you learn something new or you figure something out, whether that be a corner or a technique or whatever it may be. And it's always small stuff, too. You figure out this small thing, and it ends up making a huge impact on how you drive. And it could be just about how you hit a corner. Turn 1, we'll use Red Bull Ring for an example. Everyone, I feel like, has that aha moment when they finally figure out turn 1 here. It is it's unassuming in nature, but in practicality, to hit it correctly and quickly, it is quite a conundrum for a lot of drivers. It's one of those corners of, what am I actually aiming for? Everybody has their moment, though. You stick at it long enough, you figure it out, and then you're able to do it again and again. And it may only be a 10th or something in the grand scheme of things, but stuff like that. You go to new tracks. You talk about the Nordschleife just came to ACC this week, and it's the same thing. Backmarkers there, they're going to have to learn the same thing we all have to learn. How do I be a BMW touring car in a group of GT4s and GT3s, right? What is the etiquette here? And it's quite simple in saying, difficult in practice at a track with, I don't even recall how many corners. It's a lot of corners. But it's simple. Stay on your line. The faster traffic will make their way around. And also, as a faster car at the Nordschleife, which is still true anywhere else, mind you, is, well, I've got to make this pass, but I've got to do it in a safe manner, and I've got to time my passes. And it's just the Nordschleife seems to magnify those sort of moments like that because of the tight nature of the course.
Yeah, you can't just send it on anyone whenever you like around that track, because the corners come upon you pretty quick. And, I've driven that track quite a bit, so I sort of know where the corners go and how tight the track can get. So some other people might not, though. Some people have probably never ever touched that track in their life. Obviously, I've touched it in, I've driven it on AC1, I've driven it in iRacing, and it feels different in all 3 of the games and obviously in some other games as well.
Ed, who was that the other day? We were watching Drive Around the Nordschleife, and they just completely omitted a couple. Was that Cormac? Was that Cormac Malloy? Who
I
just,
think it was.
He's lucky that he did, because he missed an accident because he did it. But he just drove over the grass confidently, like, I don't know these corners, so I'm just going to skip that bit.
He did.
But that goes back. He avoided an accident in the process, mind you. But it was still funny to see a car just drive over the grass that confidently, like that was supposed to be the line, like they were doing rallycross. But I mean, that goes back to it too. It's course knowledge. You talk about learning the track. I've driven so much Nords, I know the track. The problem is that every sim does it differently. The grip level's different. The curbs, the way you can hit the curbs is different. Some sims, you can sort of bang the curbs quite hard at the Nordschleife. Others, iRacing's pretty bad at this. You can't hit the curbs there a lot because of the way it porpoises the race car. ACC, kind of a mix of the two. You got to know what you can and can't bang as far as curbs are concerned. And it's just relearning the grip level, how much slip you can get. Part of being really quick at the Nordschleife is being able to nail blind corners, because there's a ton of blind corners at that racetrack, knowing what's coming up, how much throttle to feed in. It's all part of it. It's all part of the learning experience. But it's actually kind of a joy for me to relearn and rediscover a track that I love so much.
We don't get many new tracks over here, unfortunately. Obviously, it costs a laser scanner track, and you know, tracks have learned that, oh, if you want my track, you're gonna have to pay a bit of money, and it's one of those things where ACC is a one-time payment compared to, let's say, iRacing, who keep adding these tracks, because obviously it's a subscription-based thing, and you have to buy a car and track if you want to race. Whereas this, you just buy the DLCs like a console game, for instance, and it's not. They don't really have that.
Console game.
Well, it is now. Yes, it never used to be, and it is now. And it's one of those things where they don't have like a ton of money just to go, right, let's just get this track. They want to get a load of these tracks. They want to get a load of these cars. That's why they've got GT2s in here now to join us, which are nice and fun to drive. We've got Red Bull Ring. We've got the Nord. Everyone's been. I say everyone. A lot of the PC-based community, way back in the day, a few years ago, were asking for Nords for a very, very long time, and we've got it, and it is nice when we get a new track, a new car to learn, because it's just fresh, and it's why I do like Kunos when, you know, this stuff happens. Obviously, sometimes the bot needs a little bit of a tweak, but you know, these things happen. You can't always get things right the first time, but they do fix the thing, you know, fixing properly, and it does work how they think it should work. Obviously, each game is different to their own physics and stuff. This is a weird camera.
Yeah, I like it though, because it's a panning camera. It's a slow pan, and it's so very different. Some of the shots quite cinematic in nature. The other thing that the Nordschleife's addition in ACC has brought us is the very first teaser for Assetto Corsa Evo, which is the next Assetto Corsa project from Kunos. Will not be called AC2. It couldn't be called that anyway, because the executable for ACC is called AC2.
It is.
So they couldn't have done that again, because of the way executables work. You have to have a different name for it. So, or you know, you can't have the same one installed twice on the same drive. So they were gonna have to call it something else anyway. I do like the name. I'm curious where you sit on that. I like Evo. I like what it stands for. It makes sense to me.
I'm hoping it's AC1 and ACC sort of melded together. ACC's graphics and a little bit of a bump between Frala and Redford for 8th place, or 7th place, whichever way you want to look at it. But yeah, hopefully it's a bit of a meld between this game and how far this has come with the physics and stuff like that, and how the cars work. And obviously AC1 with the amount of tracks people, you know, because a lot of it's modded. They need to have, if it's going to be like AC1, where you have road cars and stuff, it needs to have that modding capability. It's not going to work, but I hope it. I'm not too sure what it's going to be. It's difficult to try and pinpoint, but they just drop a teaser trailer with a bit of track and that's it. So a lot of us are hoping for AC1 with ACC combined. You know, the graphics from this and the playability and modding from the previous game. So we just have to wait and see.
I don't know for sure, but I imagine it will be, because they said that AC2, if you will, would be like the original Assetto Corsa, just, you know, better and more of everything, essentially, was sort of their promise to the community. And I can't imagine it being any different. Obviously, the technology may be different. The engine might be different. And if it's not different, it'll certainly have tweaks at the very least. Who knows? We don't know. Technically, we don't know what engine it's in. Of course, the first AC was not in Unreal. As far as I know, a contact there between
Ash
Patterson and Ash Bibby. Let's take a look at that. We saw that from the low angle. Let's take a look from the high angle. The 38 of Patterson gets into the back of the 69, and that's a triple. That's a quadruple tap. This is not a zombie survival game. It's unnecessary to use that much ammunition.
I can hit Ash halfway across the country. He's not very happy with that one, Jesse.
Yeah, imagine that. Patterson did give the spot back, however, and is now getting out of the way of lead lap cars here.
Yep, Malcolm and Redford obviously fighting. The car behind is lost, and he does not need to yield to. Maybe he needs to move to the side. It does so. Very well done.
The same thing on the next straight there. A lot of cars to get through here. Actually, only two. There's three on the same straight, but only two will get through this time. And that will reignite the fight to Patterson here.
Ooh. Oh, I thought Patterson wasn't going to slow down just enough. Obviously, Ash.
He's going to go around is what Patterson's going to do. Tries to get back on the throttle on the uphill section. Loops the car. He's going to throw it in reverse to get a little extra wiggle room.
That was no TC. He had to been on no TC then, because even in TC1 it bogs down. Unless you just have full lock to the right. That was a crazy spin, but very unfortunate there from Patterson.
We saw while we were chatting, we saw Rodriguez and the number 85 Gomez Racing car. They did get by Fox. That was about a 10-second gap with 15 minutes to go. They were able to make that pass. It was a further 10 or so. It was actually 15 seconds to Brawler in front. I think that might prove a bit too big of a gap to overcome. It was 15 or so seconds with 5 minutes left. It's down to 11 and a half seconds now with 2 minutes to go, but that'll be a little bit too far. But pretty good progress. Remember, Rodriguez was, I think they were like 15th or 16th after the double penalty that they suffered in the middle of the race. They were able to clear the majority of the silver field, at least. The reason I brought up Frawler is that if they were able to catch Frawler and Pimlott and pass them both, that would be well, at least one position in class. But unfortunately, time ticking down in the championship. We talked a lot about Flamger here today and what they've been able to do. I think we should give Sandro Samos for Carburate Racing their due. They've been clean, they've been efficient, they've done exactly what they've had to do today to get the job done here.
Well, Ash Bibby in chat, he just said, I just got Kunost, which is a thing that happens quite a bit to some of our drivers. Lost connection to the server.
Oh, dear.
Not an internet connection on his end, but sometimes it just drops connection to the server. We don't know why.
Oh, we got a battle for the lead. A battle for the lead here. Unexpected. This was several seconds of a gap a little while ago, and it's all come down. Unsure if Flamger has made a little bit of a mistake or if the tires are just not faring as well on Flamger's car. Now, this is the exact opposite of what happened on the first run, where Huell was the one who slowed down. Flamger caught all the way back up from a distant third And will we get an additional lap here? This is going to be pretty darn close. 20 seconds. Remember, the line is actually, yeah, they're going to get there. We're going to have one more lap of racing.
While we have one more lap, let me just shout out 2 more of our partners over here at RCI. We've got Fanatec is the global leader in high-end sim racing hardware from low pedals to direct drive bases. Fanatec strives for quality in every piece of hardware they design. I have the pedals. I think a few other people have pedals and wheels, and they say they are really good, and they are built to last. That's to be quite well. Here we have Ascend though.
Oh, it's going to be contact a little bit there, but they get away with it. It's going to be Flamger still out in front.
That was very close. Another one, obviously, digitalmotorsport.com. They have all top brands and it's a one-stop shop for everything sim racing. They even have a little sim setup builder, so you can build the rig and put everything together to see what it looks like before it comes to your house, so you're not disappointed when it doesn't really fit or looks to what you wanted it to do. Both of those are in the description below, but here we go. Only a few more corners left, Jesse. Huell really wants to get past Flamger. Only about 2/10, almost 4/10 difference coming into this second half of the track. 2 more corners left to go. It's going to be a very close one.
Timothy Flamger trying to win the championship and the race. Huell trying to get back to where they started. One last corner, tricky as it may be. Cut down to the inside was Huell, but it's not going to be enough. Timothy Flamger is going to win the championship and the race for Alpha Sim Sport. Raphael Huell comes home in P2. An excellent charge back to make it a close race in the end. Jordan Daly for the debut race for SJ and H Racing here on Night Owl comes home with a podium, re-signed back into the championship, and re-signed for a podium position. Stalled the car there at the apex. Emiliano Gigi for Gomez Sim Racing comes home in 4th, and in 5th place, but first in their category, Sandro Samos for Carburate Racing wins it and wins the silver championship.
He sure does. Still more cars coming around. It's a big old gap down to Malcolm going up to the second to last corner. Now car in front is Mike Jones, will finish in front. Behind but in front, same difference, but still a race going on here. Jesse, can the 3 Ferraris in a row?
Oh, he got loose! He tried it! Olivier Kierton tried it, he won't be able to do it. Malcolm, Redford, and Kierton come all together at the line as close as you like. That's pretty much how they started the race, and they finished that way. Well done and well held. Kierton was on one right there, was absolutely trying to make that work. Neil Pimlott comes home P2 in silver from Frawler. Mariano Rodriguez rebounds to 11th place. Guar Fox will take home 3rd in their category. Results of the race on your screen now. Flamger, Huell, Daly, and of course Samos, Pimlott, and Fox. What a race. They got really spread apart there, Ted, but they all came back together, it seemed, right there at the end.
Yeah, they sure did. I was very surprised Huell got back into Flamger with the gap that there was, and you just shouted at me saying they're there.
I couldn't believe it. I looked up, the gap was 1.7 seconds or something. I looked away as you were doing the partner read, and they were nose to tail.
That was pretty crazy indeed. But yeah, there you go. There is your final for round 6. What a crazy race indeed. We only lost 3 drivers. One was down to just a disconnect from the server, and 2 from, I believe, damage earlier on the race, unfortunately. Still, 18 cars at the end of the season, Jesse, is very good for Night Owl. We've had some rocky seasons in last year, but looks like Night Owl's coming back up again.
Yeah, it was a fantastic season, and we never quite knew how it was going to all shake out in the end, did we? Because they were racing each other as hard as you could imagine. We had many different winners in the categories, and right until the final couple of races, it was anybody's to win, and even to have 2 or 3 cars in both classes that could have mathematically won the championship, that's about as good as it gets.
Sure it is. Right, Jesse. What would you like to do? You'd like to do the standings first? Because we have a lot of interviews coming our way, so.
I think we should definitely show the standings, and we will do that right now. Here are your championship standings. These are pending any post-race penalties. Ted, take it away.
Sure, well, here we go. Timothy Flamger takes the second in a row championship of Night Owl. He took season 17. He took season 16. We are on 17. I almost got ahead of myself there, Jesse.
I mean, you weren't wrong.
Well, I went wrong. He's taken 2 in a row, but he took season 16 now. He's taking season 17. Look at him go. 184 points in first. Raphael Huell takes home second with 151. Rodriguez unfortunately loses out on second with obviously the 2 penalties today. Takes home 143 points in third place. Very well done to you. Look at that. 4 McLarens on top spot. You got Emiliano Gigi in 4th place, 130 points. Then we've got 4 Ferraris in a row. 5th place is Oliver Kern. 6th is Mike Redford. 7th is Masatoshi Kaneko. 8th is Matt Malcolm. And 92, 80, 77, 65 points. Then you got Emma Plate with 64 in 9th. Roman Fraller in 10th with 49 points. Still quite close at the end of the championship, Jersey. Very nice to see. There's Grim Lilith. Didn't take part tonight with 46 points. Lewis Selcher, 37. And there's Jordan Daly. 30 points, getting out of 3rd place tonight. They're down in 13th, and everyone else signed out of the championship, unfortunately. Jesse, would you like to do the silver standings?
Sure can. Sandro Simoes, your championship winner in the silver category, 203. They had the most work to do today. It was close coming in, but Simoes put it on them when it counted. Les Stevenson in 2nd place in the championship, 160 points. We'll hear from both of those drivers in just a moment. Callum Kerrigan, without even being here today, couldn't make the race. Knew in advance they wouldn't be able to, but they still got 3rd by a single point over Guar Fox. If Fox would have held on to P2, that would have been the reverse, of course. That is just how close it was. But Callum in 3rd, Guar Fox in 4th. Kevin Boss in the GTR makes a top 5 after missing a round or 2 himself. 105 points to his name. Mike Jones, in his return to sim racing and Night Owl especially, comes home a respectable 6th place. Neil Pimlott in 7th. Carlos Miranda in 8th place. Scott Lawson in 9th. Ash Bibby rounds out your top 10. Outside the top 10, Fernando Gomez has 49 points. Raul Ramos on the 45 he entered with. Cam Patterson on 18. And Terry Rudolph ended with 12. Of course, everyone else retired from the championship. Well, that's going to about do it for the championship points, pending post-race penalties, of course. But barring any of that, we've got a champion to talk to in Sandro Simoes. Ted, take it away.
On championship win, you took almost every race win this season, but how was it in that Mercedes this championship? We've seen it come back up through the field. Obviously, Raphael Huell was taking it in the pro class and doing very well. So how was it for you out there? And I think this is your first time in Night Owl, I do believe.
Yeah, it is. Hello everyone. So also my first interview as well. I didn't know that we could have been interviewed before.
Of course you can.
Well, it was quite a nice championship. It was my first time doing a full championship on the Mercedes. It's quite a safe car. There are other drivers that can take it a step further. But it was nice. I wasn't expecting in this race to have such a good pace comparing to the last Fox or even Pinball. I surprised myself, and in this race it was quite straightforward. And I started going. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Well, will we be seeing you for season 18? Is the question.
Yeah, hopefully. I did enjoy my first time. It's not the first time that I raced in RCI. I think I did once, races, maybe endurance races, but a championship was the first. And yeah, she'll do. We'll be back because I did enjoy it.
Hey, that's nice to hear. Well, Jesse, do you have any questions for our silver championship?
Oh, I absolutely do. Sandro, it wasn't as easy as you made it look out there today. It was a close championship, all things considered. You're sitting on the grid. You're amongst the pro drivers. What's going through your mind? You realize that it's a very close championship up to this point. It's as simple as getting the pole, driving away, and winning, but we all know racing's never that simple. So what were you thinking on the grid and in the opening couple of laps with how it had all shaken out? Did you feel like you had won the lottery, or were you incredibly nervous about the whole thing?
Well, while maintaining a good pace with the pro drivers was I wouldn't say nervous, but I had my respect for them because even it's not their fight with me or them with me. I was enjoying keeping up with them, so I could see if I could maintain at least to maintain myself concentrated and to maintain a good pace. But yeah, I think I had a nice fight with the other Mercedes. I don't know the name of the other driver, the pro driver, and I did try to catch Gigi in the second stint, but I was more inconsistent on the second than I was on the first. And yeah, but other than that was nice at least to keep up with them. The top three guys just blasted off. Amazing pace, these guys.
They did indeed. Sandra, as a champion, though, anyone you want to say hi to or thank?
Well, I like to thank all you guys for making very awesome broadcast. It's quite nice to watch them after, even if I'm not on the spotlight, it's quite nice. And I thank myself for having the timetable available to race, and well, my team, Carlos Miranda, it's my team manager, so shout out for him. Didn't manage to finish this one, but yeah, I think that's about it.
Well, there you go, folks. Sandro Samos, your silver champion here in Night Out season 17. Sandro, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
From the silver champ to the pro champ, Timothy Flamger has gone back-to-back. He becomes only the fourth driver in Night Out history to pull off that feat. Flamger, we talked to you a season ago in this same position. Would you be back? Do you think you could defend? You said it was going to be tough. How tough was it?
Oh, back to back. It was brutal. Yeah. The pressure was on the entire season. I mean, I won 3 races. Rodriguez found his pace halfway through and gave me a really good run at the end. Raphael was all over the top of the charts the entire season. It was quite good. Super happy with this one. Feels better than the first one.
It feels better than the first one. Why?
Because it was so hard fought.
Well, there you have it. You know what else you've done? You're also the most successful American driver in RCI history now. How do you feel about that?
Hell yeah. I'm probably the only American driver.
That's not true. That's not true, but you are the most successful. Well, with that said, I'm going to turn you over to Ted Edwards. Ted?
Well done, Flamger again. I'm expecting season 18 to be a third one. I have
Don't put
heard-
that on him. What are you kidding me? He just won a second championship, and now you want a third? He's not a machine. Wait, Timothy, are you a machine?
No, I'm not Juna Savalainen.
Wow. Okay, 3 in a row, Juna Savalainen. Ted, continue. Go ahead.
Well, Jordan Daly did say he is, well, if he still sticks to his plan, he's going to bring his A game for season 18. Does that worry you a little bit?
Yeah, Jordan's super fast. It was a shame that he had back issues again, so he had to bow out for most of the season. But yeah, it'd be great to be fighting with him again, like the 2 seasons he won.
Yeah, but you see, his back issues did not play him tonight. They have gone. He got third place. So,
Nice.
yeah. So it'll be nice to see a few more people trying to fight for that top spot. It'd be like back in the old days of Night Owl. But yeah, no, very well done on your second championship win. 184 points over 151 in fuel is pretty nice, comfy lead there. But very well done to you, and I can't wait to see you in season 18.
Oh, thank you. Glad they're doing another one.
Well, from the winner in Pro to the second place in...
Hold on, Ted. Hold on a minute, Ted. Timothy, you've won a second championship.
Oh,
Anybody
sorry.
you want to shout out or say thanks to?
Anybody I know that's watching, you're awesome. I love you. That's about it.
There you go. Alpha Sim Sports, a name to be reckoned with. And you've got the Gomez Racing group out there now. Maybe a head-to-head battle in season 18.
Yeah, it'd be great if Mariano comes back.
Well, folks, Timothy Flamger, your champion in the pro category. Now, Ted, you can interview the next person.
I have been away from 1 week and I got really rusty, but yeah. From one champ to a second place champ in the silver class, Les Stevenson in the Lexus. You missed round 1 and still got 160 points. How was this champ for you in the Lexus? Was it easy? Was it hard?
Well, first of all, Ted and Jesse, I must say congratulations to Sandro. A really exciting championship from when I did join after that first race. And fair play, he was quicker at most of the tracks and he got the job done. So yeah, congratulations to Sandro. And in answer to your question, yeah, that is one difficult car to keep under control, which I certainly didn't for the majority of the season, that's for sure. But today was a bit of a nightmare. But I'll take it. Second place overall. I will definitely take that.
How deaf are you after hearing that V8 scream for
having Ash Bibby shouting down the down the microphone? But I did have the engine turned down, Ted. Yeah, it is a loud car to be driving in, and it is a screamer. So, but it is brilliant for if you're a little bit back in the pack. It's great for getting in the draft, and even with a relatively high wing on this circuit, I'm still able to outdrag most of the cars.
Well, very well done, Les, and it's nice to see you up there in second. Don't forget to tell Callum that he needs to sign out of tonight's race, else we will lose that third place. But
yeah, I'll be in contact, and congratulations to Callum as well. Like you said, to miss tonight's race and
two Lexus.
Pit Fox in the championship to third
1 point.
By 1 point. That's really close. But yeah, no, I'll be in contact with him very shortly and letting him know.
Well, Jesse Lee, have any questions for Mr. Les?
Well, Les, you've been a thorn in my side for a couple of seasons now. Will the Roker Poker show up for season 18, and will you change that livery, please?
You want me to change it?
No, I'm just kidding. Are you kidding me? Every grid walk I do, I zoom in on it. Are you kidding me? It's gold.
Yes.
It's absolutely gold. No,
yeah, go on. Sorry, Sandro.
Sorry, I do remember a good close-up on, I think it was in Paul Ricard, of the rear of the Lexus. That was quite nice to see as well.
No, Les, my serious question to you is, it was a tight title fight down to the end, P2. I mean, you came in, you gave respect to Sandro, but you got to feel silver championship. You've got it in you.
It's getting ever closer. My plan is to return for season 18, and yes, the livery is going to have to stay. I'm sorry, but it's going to have to stay. And I don't know what the tracks will be. I'm guessing that the first race will be this race again. Going in tradition. Yeah, and I must say, Ted, I do congratulate you for what you do for this championship, because it just puts that extra spin with those not knowing what those pit stops are going to be until the server opens. It's I really think it's a great twist on what is great racing anyway. So congratulations to yourself and the whole broadcast team as well. It's always a pleasure to come in here and chat with you guys.
Anybody other than your co-workers you want to say thanks to?
I would love to say thanks to my team, Dropping Hammer Racing, always supportive as always, and and obviously a big hats off to my wife for allowing me to stay up at godly hours and do this sort of thing, so no, I think and I will just say as well, just to let you know, the father-in-law is on the mend.
Yeah, let's go, folks that weren't with us last week. We interviewed Les Stevenson, and his father-in-law had a little bit of an incident, and in his post-race, had some very kind words to say. So an update live here on the post-race interview. Happy to hear that, Les. Thank you very much, and congratulations on an excellent campaign.
Sorry to interrupt. Thank you. Thanks as well to my wife. I completely forgot about it.
I was going to say, Sandro, most people do typically think they're better half.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to push that on you, but very nice save, might I say, indeed. Raphael Huell, would you like to thank your wife before we have a discussion?
I don't think I'm old enough to thank my wife yet.
Oh, well, there you go.
I'm
Raphael,
just barely 23, so I
well,
still have some time.
there you have it. Well, Raphael, it was a exciting race here tonight. You got the pole position. You were in the hunt for the win all night long. Was it an exciting race? Did you enjoy it? Do you have any regrets at all?
Oh, it was a great race. The first half I enjoyed. Second half, my arms started to hurt. It's a long race, 90 minutes. You shouldn't underestimate that. But great pace from the other two guys, from Timothy and Mariano. I found it's always us three in the front fighting, and it was fun the whole season through.
Let me ask you this, because I know a lot of drivers feel a specific way about this. Would you rather get pole position and just drive away and have a rather mundane race, or would you rather be in the wars, in the fights for those 60, 90 minutes like you were today?
If it is about a championship, I'd prefer driving away at the front, but for fun, it's definitely in the middle of the pack. Fighting is probably the most fun part of racing, and tactics are a bit boring, I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very exciting race indeed. I'm going to get it out of the way. Is there anybody you want to thank before I turn you over to my partner, Ted Edwards?
I want to thank Miguel Martins. He signed out, sadly.
He was cheering you on, though. He's done that all season.
He was. He was in the voice chat with me. It's always fun to talk with him during a race. Especially if he's racing with me, he can tell me what's happening in his part of the race. I can tell him something else. It's always fun with him.
There you have it. I love to hear it. Ted Edwards, down to you.
Very well done, Huell. I didn't expect you to get the second place overall in the standings, but obviously Rodriguez having that problem in this race just helps you get that lead of, I think it was about eight points or so. So very well done, and you signed out of a race which obviously took your drop round, but you're just showing us that the Mercedes has now come back into the bot pool in the Kunos world. If you'll, obviously there's two different bots that are going around at the moment in time, but you're just showing us, and obviously Daily tonight as well, just showing us that the Merc is still good.
It definitely is still good. You may see it again next season. It's a very fun car.
Well, yeah, very well done. Are you looking forward to next season? Are you or what's your plan? Obviously, you're giving us a little hint to the AMG, but
yes, I'm definitely looking forward to it. Somewhat cautiously, because obviously university is starting again, so I may have to focus on that.
No,
but
life does come first, unfortunately, sometimes. But
Definitely.
It'd be nice to see you for some races. If you can make it, if you don't worry. We'll always be here. There'll always be some more champs going on through the year. But do want to pick at something with you. You never said sorry for grabbing my butt last night.
Okay, we can talk about this after the race is over. Mike Redford joined us in chat and clarified what he said big F at some point during the race, and we were quite confused what he was on about because he was racing quite well. He thought he was going to get done for speeding on pit lane, and it was a preemptive F. He didn't get done for speeding in the pit lane, and that's what led to the confusion. Raphael, thanks for coming in and talking to us. As always, you're a mainstay here at RCI. It'd be a lot different without you. So we appreciate you racing and putting on an excellent show like you did tonight. Congratulations on the top 3 finish as well.
Thank you for commenting. It's always fun to listen to you guys.
It's our pleasure to do so. And, well, we said we could talk about anything because we're bags of hot air. It's up to the drivers to make it interesting, and they always do. Ted, stacked calendar. You went over all the things going on at RCI TV, and you can view the calendar yourself at racerci.com and join our Discord. Check out all the events that we have going on. Remember, you don't have to wait for next season here. You can join any season mid-championship, but right now is the right time to sign up because so many series are just starting or about to start. And again, to check all those out on all the different racing platforms we run events on, go to racerci.com. Ted, eventful day, excellent championship. Congratulations to you as well. Another successful Night Owl season.
Yeah, it was probably one of the most successful ones since we had the 2020 times. If you like, I won't say the word, but we all know what it is. In yeah, we had a downward spiral.
Boys reunion tour. Yeah,
we had a downward spiral last year, but it has picked up again. Late last year, and obviously this year, 19 cars finished this race. A few of them had a bit of problems. But it was a very, very good season 18, and I'm already getting ahead of myself, Jesse. Season 17, I can't wait for season 18. That's how excited I am. I can't. It's a shame we've got to wait a while, but obviously there's other races. We want to get you the World Tour races. We've got RCI iRacing races, and we have the 12-hour of Nords, which Tom Bryant has been pestering me quite a bit tonight to keep plugging. So. Please come and drive Nords with us. There's 5 different classic cars: GT3, GT2, GT4, TCX, Porsche Cup. There's 5 of them. You can choose what you like. Nab them quick because I think GT3 is going to be the first ones to go, and I think GT2s as well. So get your team signed up. You just get 2 drivers in, get your number, get your team in, and then you can sort out the rest afterwards. But been very, very good. I couldn't have done this without Jesse Lee stepping in to help with the.
That's not true. You could have. You wouldn't want to, but you could have.
Me and you go well, and I got to say thank you to Ryan Mawson, obviously Cormac Malloy as well.
Yes.
Mawson covered me last weekend, and Cormac covers us for the broadcasting as well. So very big thanks to them for helping out, and also the stewards behind the scenes for the post race. We wouldn't have. It will be a little bit difficult with post-race penalties after the race, and a few people do the reports, which is very helpful indeed. And stewards are a big part of this community and help us out a lot, especially with the World War. But anything else to say, Jesse?
Yeah, I mean, just a couple of things I want to button up here. Big thank you to the Gomez Racing family and friends, always entertaining. Anybody who showed up in chat this season to cheer on their drivers, we appreciate all of you. We love seeing who you're cheering for in the chat. An update from Matthew Malcolm. It was a happy ending for the Ferrari saga for him, though he vows to be back next season in a different car, and I have no idea what he'll be switching to, except he gave a winky smiley face emoji. I can't imagine. Is he going to try an out of the box car, I don't know. Kevin Boss reacts and says, glad he was able to keep Mike Jones behind him for 90 minutes. Didn't think he could do that. A lot of great storylines to end this season. Just a brilliant job all around. Some exciting racing coming down to the last. What more could you ask for here at Nido?
Yeah, sure is. Well, that is all from us. I have been Ted Edwards. He has been Jesse Lee. This has been Now Season 17.
Nada!
And I can't wait to see you all again in Season 18. But until then, see you next time.